What if everything we know about the dawn of civilization is a lie? What if the largest, most ancient pyramid on Earth isn't in the sands of Egypt, but has been hiding in plain sight in the heart of Europe, dismissed for millennia as a simple tree-covered mountain? In 2005, in the sleepy Bosnian town of Visoko, this single, terrifying question would ignite a firestorm of controversy that threatens to burn down the pages of our history books. For centuries, the local people lived in the shadow of Visoko Hill, a silent, angular giant that dominated their skyline. They shared old legends of kings and dragons, but no one suspected the truth of what lay dormant beneath the soil. No one until Dr. Samir Osmanagic, a controversial Bosnian-American businessman and amateur archaeologist. Osmanagic looked at the hill not with the eyes of a local, but with the perspective of someone who had studied the pyramids of the world. What he saw sent a chill down his spine. The hill had four distinct symmetrical faces sloping at near-perfect angles. Its corners were aligned with uncanny precision to the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west. This was no natural formation. Nature erodes, it curves, it softens. It does not create giant geometric monuments. Osmanagic declared that Visoko was not a hill at all, but a colossal man-made structure, the Pyramid of the Sun. But his shocking claim didn't end there. He identified four other surrounding formations as part of the same complex: the Pyramid of the Moon, the Pyramid of the Dragon, the Pyramid of the Earth, and the Temple of Mother Earth. Together, they formed a sacred complex of a scale that dwarfed anything ever discovered. The implications were staggering. If he was right, this wasn't just another ancient site. Preliminary analysis suggested an age that was simply impossible, dating back as far as 30,000 years. This would make its builders a civilization lost to time, thriving tens of thousands of years before the Sumerians, before the Egyptians, before the very concept of organized society was thought to exist. Who were they? A ghost people with no name, no record, yet capable of landscape engineering that would challenge even modern machinery. The mainstream archaeological community immediately dismissed the theory as a colossal fraud, a pseudo-scientific fantasy. Natural hills, they argued, can sometimes form with strange symmetrical features, a geological anomaly, nothing more. They called Osmanagic a charlatan, a dreamer peddling a nationalistic myth to a country still healing from war. But the whispers of the impossible had already begun. Was this a collective delusion or the greatest cover-up in human history? The only way to know was to dig, to peel back the layers of soil and time and confront whatever truth or terrifying emptiness lay beneath. And so, with the world watching, the first shovels broke ground on the slope of the so-called mountain. They didn't find dirt and rock. They found something else, something that would make the world question the very ground we walk on.
The material they found just beneath the soil was impossible. It wasn't natural bedrock, weathered and fractured by time. It was a layer of massive rectangular blocks, fitted together with a precision that felt chillingly deliberate. Mainstream geologists were quick to label it a natural conglomerate, a type of sedimentary rock. But Osmanagic, convinced he was on the verge of a world-changing discovery, sent samples to specialized laboratories across Europe. The results that came back were explosive. According to several independent analyses from institutes in Italy and France, the material was not stone. It was a form of man-made concrete. But this was no primitive mortar. The analysis revealed a complex artificial mixture, a lost formula of gravel, sand, and a unique lime-based binding agent that, when hardened, achieved a compressive strength and water resistance far superior to even the highest quality concrete we can manufacture today. History tells us that concrete was invented by the Romans 2,000 years ago. Yet here it was, encasing a supposed 30,000-year-old hill in the middle of Bosnia. Who could have possessed this knowledge? What forgotten civilization mastered a chemical technology that would remain unrivaled for tens of thousands of years? This discovery transformed the enigma from a question of geology to one of impossible engineering. The pyramids were not just earthen mounds shaped like pyramids. They were potentially hollow structures, encased in a shell of advanced superconcrete. The mystery deepened from what they were to what they might contain. As the excavations expanded, a second, even more perplexing discovery was made a few kilometers away: an entrance to a subterranean labyrinth, a network of tunnels now known as the Ravne tunnels. The entrance had been sealed, deliberately blocked with loose rock and soil in the distant past. The team cleared the entrance and stepped out of the light into a world that had been cut off from our own for millennia. The air inside was thick with age and stillness, but as they pushed deeper, they realized this wasn't an abandoned mine. The tunnels intersected at sharp angles, with side passages and chambers carved from the raw earth. And then came the most disturbing realization of all. The labyrinth hadn't been left empty. The vast majority of the side tunnels had been intentionally and meticulously filled in with tons of loose material, a painstaking process that would have taken more effort than the initial excavation. Why? Why would anyone construct a vast underground network only to seal it off from within? It felt less like a passageway and more like a tomb or a prison. As the first modern explorers ventured into the suffocating darkness, they felt something change. The air grew strangely clean, ionized, and a faint, almost imperceptible vibration could be felt through the soles of their boots, a low, resonant hum, seemingly emanating from the very heart of the earth.
The hum was not a machine, not in any sense we understand. As scientific teams cautiously brought instruments into the Ravne tunnels, they discovered the source of the strange vibrations and the clean electric air. They were walking through a constant, measurable field of energy. The instruments registered an electromagnetic emission, a continuous, focused signal pulsing at a frequency of 28 kilohertz. This signal, an ultrasonic hum just beyond the range of human hearing, was not random noise. It was structured, artificial, and aimed like a weapon or a beacon straight up towards the sky from the apex of the pyramid of the sun. Modern science uses no known technology that produces a continuous beam of this nature. It was as if the entire complex was a colossal, ancient power plant, dormant for millennia, but still faintly breathing. Furthermore, the concentration of beneficial negative ions in the tunnel air was measured to be dozens of times higher than in a pristine forest, creating an atmosphere that many visitors would later claim had profound healing effects. Deeper within the labyrinth, the explorers made another discovery that defied explanation. In sealed-off chambers and at key tunnel intersections, they found massive, sculpted stones. These were not jagged rocks, but smooth, ceramic-like megaliths weighing several tons each. Geochemical analysis showed they were not native to the area. They were crafted from a ceramic material, fired at extreme temperatures, and then transported into the heart of this subterranean world. Who possessed the technology to create and move such objects in the Stone Age? Carved into the surface of one of these megaliths were a series of symbols, an arrangement of lines and shapes that resembled no known alphabet or proto-writing system on Earth. Were these the first letters of a forgotten language? A warning, or perhaps a schematic for the very energy machine they were standing inside? The undeciphered script only deepened the enigma, suggesting a culture with a level of intellectual sophistication that was utterly terrifying in its implications.
As word of the strange energies and mysterious tunnels spread, a new phenomenon began. People from around the world flocked to Visoko, drawn by claims that the tunnels were a place of healing. Testimonies flooded in, stories of chronic pain vanishing, of respiratory illnesses clearing, and of a profound sense of peace and vitality felt only within the labyrinth's walls. Was it a placebo effect, born from a powerful myth? Or was this ancient complex interacting with human biology on a level we are only beginning to comprehend? The mystery was no longer just about history or engineering. It was about life itself. But the energy, the megaliths, and the strange writings were not the only secrets the Earth was giving up. Deep within a newly unsealed section of the tunnels, a discovery was made that would shift the investigation from the realm of the unknown into the truly alien. It wasn't an artifact. It wasn't a tool. It was organic.
The organic material wasn't a body, nor a fossil. It was something far more subtle and perhaps more profound. Deep within the sealed-off passages, the team discovered pools of crystal-clear water, pockets of liquid silence that had remained untouched by the outside world for countless generations. It was ancient water, a time capsule from a prehistoric era. When samples were analyzed by fringe water researchers, they reported incredible findings. The molecular structure of this water was, they claimed, perfect. They alleged it held a unique vibrational signature, a kind of energetic purity that has been lost in the polluted water of the modern world. Proponents of this theory believe this living water is the true source of the tunnel's healing properties, a liquid conduit for the strange energies emanating from the earth below. Is it possible that this entire complex wasn't just a monument or a power plant, but a sophisticated system for creating and storing this life-affirming element? A secret fountain of youth, hidden from a world not yet ready to understand it. While the water remained a subject of esoteric debate, another organic discovery provided a far more concrete shock to the timeline of human history. While clearing the fill material from one of the tunnels, the team found a fossilized leaf resting on top of one of the large ceramic megaliths. It was clear evidence that the leaf had fallen onto the stone before the tunnel was sealed. It was a perfect sample for radiocarbon dating. The piece of organic material was sent for analysis, and the results were unequivocal. The leaf, and by extension the ceiling of the tunnel, was dated to be 29,200 years old, plus or minus 400 years. The number was shattering. It was a direct physical challenge to the entire edifice of archaeology. 29,000 years ago, during the brutal peak of the last ice age, mainstream history insists that our ancestors were primitive hunter-gatherers, huddled in caves and struggling for survival. They were not supposed to be organizing massive labor forces, quarrying materials, firing advanced ceramics in industrial kilns, and constructing vast subterranean labyrinths. They were not supposed to be doing any of this. The existence of the Ravne tunnels at that date is a paradox that simply cannot be resolved with the current model of our past. It suggests a civilization of unimaginable antiquity and sophistication, a mother culture that rose and fell in the depths of the Ice Age, leaving behind only this impossible, humming echo. The evidence was piling up, pointing to a vast blind spot in our own story. If it wasn't the cave dwellers of the Paleolithic era who built this complex, then who did? The history books provide no answer, but the local legends, whispered for centuries in the valleys of Bosnia, do. They speak of the land's first inhabitants. They weren't men as we know them. They were architects of immense stature and power. They were giants.
The idea of giants is the stuff of bedtime stories. easily dismissed as folklore. But as the Bosnian pyramid theory gained global attention, the old legends began to feel unnervingly relevant. Whispers from other, smaller archaeological digs in the region spoke of anomalously large human skeletons, feeding a narrative that the valley's original builders were a race apart. While mainstream science offered no comment, for believers, it was another piece of a puzzle that pointed to a forgotten chapter of human, or perhaps non-human, existence. But as the fantastic claims grew, so did the ferocity of the opposition. The academic world, once dismissive, now launched an all-out assault. Leading European and American archaeological associations signed petitions, denouncing the project as a cruel hoax on an unsuspecting public and demanding the Bosnian government shut it down. They presented their case with cold scientific certainty. The so-called pyramids were nothing more than natural geological formations known as flat irons. The superior concrete was a common rock called conglomerate. The ancient tunnels, they argued, were likely medieval mine shafts, and the undeciphered writing was nothing more than random scratches from tools or natural processes. Dr. Osmanagic was painted as a charlatan, a self-aggrandizing showman with no formal training, exploiting national pride to create a tourist trap while potentially destroying legitimate historical artifacts in the process. He was accused of creating a pseudoscience cult, a movement built on fantasy rather than fact. The battle for the soul of Visoko had begun, and it was a war fought not with weapons, but with reputations, scientific papers, and the very definition of history itself. Osmanagic and his supporters fired back, accusing the academic establishment of intellectual cowardice. They argued that the opposition was based on fear, the fear that a single discovery could render entire careers and lifetimes of research obsolete. They pointed out that many of the loudest critics had never even visited the site, condemning it from thousands of miles away based on prejudice, not evidence. How could geology explain the perfect cardinal alignment of the pyramids, or the specific artificial frequency of the 28 kilohertz energy beam detected coming from the pyramid of the sun's apex? How could medieval miners explain the thousands of tons of material painstakingly used to fill the tunnels, not excavate them? The official explanations seemed to create as many questions as they answered, ignoring the most profound anomalies at the heart of the mystery. The lines were drawn in the Bosnian soil. On one side, the consensus of modern science. On the other, a humming mountain and a labyrinth filled with impossible secrets. With pressure mounting and the world's academic bodies calling for his project to end, Osmanagic knew the debate could not last forever. He had to find the smoking gun, the one discovery so profound, so undeniable, it would silence the critics for good. He had to find his way into the heart of the pyramid itself.
The hunt for a hidden chamber, for a golden sarcophagus or a library of ancient knowledge has not ended. But to this day, the heart of the Pyramid of the Sun remains unbreached, its ultimate secrets still locked away. Yet, perhaps the greatest discovery was never going to be an object, but an idea so powerful it has rewritten the landscape of a town and challenged the very foundations of our past. The final truth of the Bosnian pyramids may not lie in what they are, but in what they have become, a place of pilgrimage. Today, the town of Visoko is transformed. It is no longer just a quiet valley in Bosnia. It is a global destination for those who seek a different kind of truth. Healers, spiritualists, alternative researchers, and countless curious souls walk the cool, dark passages of the Ravne tunnels. They come to breathe the ionized air, to sit in the presence of the humming megaliths, and to feel a connection to a past far deeper and stranger than the one we are taught in schools. For these people, the academic debate is irrelevant. Their proof is not found in carbon dating or geological surveys, but in their own personal experience. A sense of peace, a moment of healing, a feeling of profound wonder. The pyramid complex has given this town, once scarred by war, a new identity built on mystery and hope. And what of the science? The fierce opposition remains. To the mainstream world, Visoko is a monument to wishful thinking, a grand illusion built on misinterpreted geology. Yet the unsettling questions linger, hanging in the air like the morning mist in the valley. The hard data of the 28 kilohertz energy beam, the impossible strength of the concrete slabs, the staggering 30,000-year-old date found in a tunnel that should not exist. These are anomalies that resist easy explanation, thorns in the side of our comfortable linear history. In the end, the Bosnian pyramids have become a mirror, reflecting back whatever belief we project onto them. A skeptic sees a hill. A believer sees the legacy of a lost golden age. The truth is perhaps not about choosing a side, but about learning to stand in the space between, in the profound and uncomfortable territory of the unknown. It is a place that forces us to confront the fragility of our knowledge and to entertain the humbling possibility that civilizations could have risen, fallen, and been ground to dust by the ice of ages, leaving behind only ghosts and riddles. The Pyramid of the Sun keeps its silence. It offers no confessions and confirms no theories. It simply stands, a question written into the land itself, asking us to look upon a simple, tree-covered mountain and wonder, what else have we gotten wrong?